checking in with Samaritan House and seeing how their year has been and what needs that they have. Joining us today, we've got the Executive Director of Samaritan House. We have Brandi Schroeder, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's take a look back at your year. How have things been going at Samaritan House?
Well, probably pretty much like everybody else's. You know, we've had challenges. We've had challenges of illness among staff, not residents, and not COVID. We've had employees lose family to COVID, so that's been difficult. But I think it's just the same struggle that everybody, you know, has had in employment and having enough people well. And if you're following quarantine and isolation, you know, you're short-staffed and whatnot. So I feel like, though, we've got really good morale. We still have a team. We've held it together. Some of these weeks we were covering 108 hours a week of coverage, which is very difficult. We can't not be here, and we operate 24/7. So I can't say like, well, we're closed on Sundays, or we're, you know, pulling back and closing at 8 or 7. Like, that's not an option. So I just have such an incredible team. Like, it's amazing how everyone has come together to make it work. And honestly, it's just as you say, you know, you get in those trenches together, and we've persevered. And I feel like for the most part, that's been done joyfully, which is like amazing, right? To do anything joyfully now. So
Exactly, yes.
that's really good. We are back to regular numbers. So it was lower at the beginning of the year, but we are definitely serving. Lately, it's been between 11 and 14. We have 17 rooms. I'd really prefer not to go above the 14 rooms, just because we can really only do 2 breakfast, 2 lunch, 2 dinner. So if anyone ends up being on quarantine that's already living at the shelter, I need that second meal time for them. So yeah, it's just been trial and error and maneuvering through, you know.
Right. I think, can you paint the picture for us of what the homeless situation is in our community? Because I really think many times people just cannot grasp what's happening.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. A lot of us have tried very much, though, to stay in touch together. You know, that's been different. The types of meetings that we're doing are quite a bit different. Our agencies are each very busy and kind of overrun with the extra. We're grateful for the other support that's been coming in through, you know, some different government sources, but a lot of times we just don't have the infrastructure to handle it. It doesn't matter if there's money, if there's not housing, or if we don't have, you know, staff persons in certain agencies to be processing applications, then it doesn't really matter. It's very difficult. I see definitely an increase in homelessness, a difficulty connecting, again, like due to COVID and quarantine, and you're at school and then you're not at school. And think about being a single mother or a single father. You've got kids. How do you keep a job like that? So there's a lot of assistance, but it's just, it doesn't fix everything. Money doesn't fix everything. We need community. We need each other. You know, that's been very evident. The disconnect is not helpful. Among the homeless, we've definitely seen an increase in mental health, which I think is probably true for most of us. Have been tried. Maybe what we can learn from that is to be very empathetic, you know, understanding. If you feel like that at home, imagine feeling like that if you're in a homeless shelter or on the streets or in a car. I know from the accounts that I've been given from our private outreach workers, is that the street homelessness is definitely increasing. But I mean, if you look at rents are crazy. You know, what you could rent for $550 is now $900. And even if some places are increasing employment, you still would need to be able to be doing that full time to be able to meet those rents. And if you have 3 children who are not in school or there's no daycare, and it's just, you know, it's difficult. I think people are trying their best to follow orders that they can, but it's also, you know, you've got to have food on the table and you want to have a roof over your head.
Right, yeah. It's all about, you know, love thy neighbor, and that's what you guys are there, you know, to try to help and get them going back on their own. What kind of, I mean, you talk about money, but what are the things, what kind of needs can the community help you with to maybe help Samaritan House?
Prayer, lots of prayer. No, seriously though, that's like the thing I think that's gotten us through. And we're not a faith-based organization, but obviously we're very faith-fueled. I mean, we have, you can see my little elf in the background. So we've had some groups coming in and doing crafts with the residents, you know, as able. We kind of gauge the health of the group, make sure everything's going well. But that has uplifted our spirits, like walking through, and the residents. And it's not just the kids, the adults love doing that too. So it's something simple, but again, it's just connecting with people. I feel like I always just kind of say, do what you're called to do. Please take a moment to, you know, we all have different gifts. We all have different talents. How best to share, how best can you share those? And for some people, it's time. Sometimes it's finances. Again, sometimes it's, it's very dedicated prayer. Sometimes it's little prayers. Like, we'll take all of that. But, just the same things that you need in your own house. That it's been difficult to get certain products. So paper towels, you imagine we're going through a crazy amount of paper towels. But having the staff to go get them and bring them back is also difficult, because you go to 3 stores, and sometimes they have seen, sometimes they don't. So we've seen our in-kinds, like last year, I think when I talked to you about a year ago, in-kinds had dropped dramatically. People weren't trying to get out to the store so much. There wasn't product to buy anyway, but our doorbell has been ringing. So we're definitely seeing a lot of support coming back. In-kind, seeing a lot of people just wanting to connect, just really wanting to connect those ways. So it really takes all of that. We always appreciate when people are the hands and feet for us, because like I said, if you're already kind of tight on staff anyway, just getting out to another store. And, we've said that a lot of times. If you want to, as you guys are probably preparing for Christmas, you need to go to 4 stores to get what you might have been able to get at 1 or 2 before. So, it's the same boat here. It's a big old house, 38 rooms, and 21 people, typically 21 people right now, for every meal, but right now I've got an amazing group of women too, which I think is great. Like, it's watching among them doing birthday parties, still celebrating life. Like, we just had a 1-year-old's birthday party. He slept through it, but had his birthday party 2 days ago. And I just can't tell you how that feels for us as staff too, to walk through. And it just reminds you of why you work so hard to keep this, because if you have to do that, at least they don't have to do it alone. Like, if they've got that feeling, and it feels like home, and it should feel like home. The Christmas trees are up here. The kids have been making decorations. So hopefully we're just able to navigate that with them if it takes a little bit longer here than it does. But we have started to see some housing open up, and Met Housing has some movement on their wait list. And right now, I think that they really need to be supported that way. Like I said, if you've got multiple kids and you can't work full time because the school's canceling every other week or sending your kids home, it's really difficult.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So in the year ahead, just keep you guys in mind, drop off goods that, we can, and just, like you said, keep prayers coming for you guys, right?
Absolutely. Our staff member, Chris Kirkendall, my assistant, is amazing. She keeps our website up to date all the time. So the wish list that's on there is always very much up to date, so that you're not, if you look at that, you're definitely bringing something that we need. But you can always call. You can always call and ask. Sometimes we have a emergency list on a Post-it note up front, which is typically toilet bowl cleaner and paper towels, but.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much for updating us on Samaritan House and for the work that you're doing. So let's hope 2022 is a better year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to everybody.
All right, thanks. Don't go away. Need Edition continues in a moment.